Well, welcome to Confessions of a Chef. Don't try this at home segment. And we're with one of Valparaiso's most innovative chefs, Chef Jason at the Valley. So, Jason, what are we making today?
Today we're actually going to do something really simple to make cooking fish at home simpler. So what we're going to do is cook walleye, a complete meal wrapped in parchment paper. We're going to put it in the oven, and it's something you can do year-round to have fish any day of the week without it being kind of a scary thing to cook at home.
Don't try this at home. So let's get started with what you don't want to try at home.
All right. So what I'm about to do, you can easily have it already done for you. But what we do is we just take our knife, our fillet knife, and this is a nice piece of walleye that does have the skin on it. And you know, when I'm showing people this the first time, and we've had a couple people cut themselves, so that kind of qualifies for don't try this at home. But you just grab the tail, you work your knife down to where the scale and the skin is, and then you grab it, and then you just start slowly dragging it.
So the point is to remove the skin.
To remove the skin. So that was really easy, but it's a little difficult.
But anyway, the great ones make it look
easy. We flip it over, and now you know you have all your meats on the fillet, and this is just straight skin that we'll dispose of. So what I did ahead of time is I took some fresh asparagus and I shaved it, and then I added herbs that I love to eat. It should be dill and tarragon are probably my two favorites. For a little bit of spice, we added some calabrese peppers. Again, you can add sriracha, or you can leave the spice out completely. It's not necessary. It's just a personal preference. But what I'm going to do is this is all going to go on the bottom of this parchment paper. So I'm going to show you in a minute how this is going to look. So we're going to make a little bed of our vegetables here. It's totally up for preference how you want to do this. You just want to make sure the vegetables are cut kind of thin so that it can time out appropriately with the fish. So you don't even have to shave it. It's just something that I did. I just like to eat it that way, but you can just chop anything up small. If it's in winter, you can put squash in there. If it's in summer, you can do tomatoes. Since it's the end of spring right now, we're using asparagus.
And is it something where certain vegetables just work well with others, where maybe if you change up a couple of vegetables, you change all of them up, or is it just whatever you like?
It's personal preference. For me, we just stick with the season because the season will be over, and then you have to wait a whole nother year to try it and eat it again. So you try to, eat it as much as possible at the peak season where it's at its best.
Well, it certainly keeps it fresh that way.
Awesome. So now we're just going to take our walleye, and we're just going to lay it on top of our little asparagus salad. Season it with some pretty good amount of salt.
Now, in the past, you've told me that the type of salt you use when you're cooking is different than what you're putting on it as more of an accent. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So when you're salting something raw before you're going to cook it, you would generally want to do a little bit more than you feel you should. That's just going to kind of help the cooking process. It's going to bring out the natural flavors, especially with walleye. It has kind of a mild flavor. The salt's going to bring that out as much as possible. And
you use kosher salt before you cook, but then you use sea salt at the very end.
Sure, yeah, you definitely can. I mean, that's the usual thing. So we have the salt and pepper. This is a little bit of fennel pollen that I love. Fennel pollen, fennel seeds, fennel bulbs are all the same thing. This just has a really nice, like, floral licorice flavor. I like to put a lot on there. And then here is just a really nice quality olive oil. And this is going to help create our little broth when it comes out of the oven. You're going to have all the juices from the fish seeping down into the asparagus, this really nice olive oil. And then something that I like to add. At this point, you'd want to add acidity to the dish. A lot of times you'd go for lemon. For this one, I opted to use banana pepper juice.
Okay.
I think it's good. It goes well with all the flavors in there, and it's just something that I love. Again, when you're cooking at home, it's just all on what you prefer to eat. So we're going to add some of this banana pepper juice.
Does it add a little bit of heat to it?
This one won't. It's going to add some sweetness, some really nice vinegar flavors. And it's just a nice thing to remember at home when you're done with that pickle jar. I mean, you still have all that juice in there that you can do something with.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Now I'm gonna pull it back out. So this is okay. So this is the fun part. Again, this is an old French technique that we use in the restaurant all the time now. It cooks your fish completely, and it also steams while you're baking it. So it's going to be just a really tender piece of fish. And I feel like most cuts of fish will do well with this style of cooking. So it's just in parchment paper. So you take your parchment paper, you fold it over, you seal it over twice. Repeat it on the other side. And then we just complete it with the third turn.
Can the paper melt if it's too hot?
If you're using parchment paper, no. You'll see when it comes out of the oven, it'll brown in spots. But that's also an indicator. What's going to happen, hopefully, is when it comes out of the oven, this whole thing's going to be puffed and it'll be a little brown on the edges, and that lets you know that it's done. So we're just going to put it in our pan.
So you don't determine it's done by by opening it and looking at it. You judge it by the paper.
Well, I'd say like at home, like that's when you know you should open it up, because once you open up the paper itself, you've lost the steam and kind of the reason why you did it in the first place.
So it's almost like opening the stove too much when you're baking. It's not a good thing.
If you're looking, it's not cooking, right?
I haven't heard that one, but I think I'll remember that one.
All right. So I'm just going to throw it in the oven now.
All right.
And then we can work on the second part. Alright, so it's been about 7-8 minutes. We're going to take a look at it. And this is exactly what you want. It's puffed. You got the brown edges. This tells me that it's pretty much done cooking. So we're going to open her up and eat it. Just going to carefully, don't try this part at home. You're going to get a really bad steam burn, so you just want to carefully open it up without burning yourself from the steam that's going to shoot out. Ooh, here we go. But since we're here, we're just going to go ahead and take our little fish and all the asparagus. Just going to put her right there. And you definitely don't want to lose, this is the best part of the whole thing. So this is that banana pepper juice, the olive oil, and just the natural juices from the fish from cooking it this way. And then these are little microgreens, little radish and arugula leaves with a little bit of fresh basil. And we're just gonna kind of spread her around. And I just really think that this is something that you could easily do at home. That's it.
But the great ones make it look simple and easy. You won't be able to make it as good at home. You want to come to Valley.